Okay, hi everybody. Happy to be here. I first learned about this national popular vote a couple years ago from the League of Women's Voters because I never heard of it before then, and hopefully some of you will learn something today about it that you didn't know before. But I am no expert on this. I'm not an expert on hardly anything, but I have learned that the more if I want to present something, I learn more about it. So the more I present this, the more I learn about it, and then you guys ask questions, and that helps me to even learn more. So I guess you can ask questions as we go or at the end, whatever. I do have a PowerPoint. Um, can people see that?
Can you enlarge it just a little bit?
Sure. How's that?
Much better.
All right. So this is kind of a cute cartoon, I thought, with the electoral college kind of driving us, not necessarily where we want to go. But this is the called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. And I'll show you what the solutions are. We could change the US Constitution, or we could implement the national popular vote. And I think you'll find that changing the Constitution is not very easy. And implementing a national popular vote is a little bit easier, but not real easy. So we know we've had problems with the the present system. In 2000, Bush won, even though Gore had more popular votes, and then in 2016, Trump won, even though Clinton had like 3 million votes more. At least in this last election, the person that got the most popular votes also had the most regular votes. So this scene kind of looks familiar. I kind of get sick every time I look at it. And I think if we would have had the national popular vote in place before this last election, we wouldn't have had all this argument about who won the election, because Biden clearly won by 7 million votes, and that you can't hardly argue that that's not enough, even if there was a couple handfuls of fraud thrown in there. So here's the problem with electoral college. For example, you compare Wyoming, they get 1 vote for every 5,800 people. And then California, you get 1 vote for every 772,000. I mean, that's not hardly 1 person, 1 vote. And it's not easy to change because the smaller states like Wyoming kind of like that. They have a lot of power over the rest of us. So the electoral college, as you recall, in the last election was pretty close. And if it, you just can imagine what would happen if Trump would have won. It would have been terrible anyway. The Constitution, we the people. So Section 1, Article 2, Clause 2 says, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislator thereof direct and a number of electors. So each state determines how their electors are determined. So they have some flexibility there. In all but 2 of the states, they give their vote to the person in the state that got the most votes. And there's 2 states that kind of apportion them. So changing the Constitution would be a big hassle. It takes 2/3 in both houses, 67%, and they can't even get 60% to agree on anything, and they can't even get hardly 51% to agree on anything. So, and then it goes to states. Then you need 75% of 38 states to agree to the change. So as I said before, the 13 smaller states representing 3% of the population could block it. So I don't know, once I heard about this, I'm not sure anybody really thinks that we can change the Constitution that easily. I mean, if somebody thinks that's possible, let me know. So I will now kind of show you a video from the founder of the National Popular Vote that
Presidential candidate Scott Walker summed up our current system of electing the president by saying,
The nation as a whole is not going to elect the next president. 12 states are.
Governor Mitt Romney said.
And so all the money will get spent in 10 states.
This video explains why more than 3/4 of the people of the United States are politically irrelevant in general election campaigns for president, and how that can be changed in order to make every voter in every state relevant in every presidential election. The National Popular Vote Bill would guarantee the presidency to the candidate receiving the most popular votes in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The President of the United States is elected by 538 presidential electors. The Constitution lets each state choose the method of selecting its electors. Today, 48 states use the so-called winner-take-all law that awards all of a state's presidential electors to the candidate who gets the most popular votes inside each separate state. For example, because Obama received 1.5 million votes in Minnesota and Romney got only 1.3 million, all 10 of Minnesota's electoral votes for president were cast by Democratic electors.
because of state winner-take-all laws, 5 of our 45 presidents have come into office without receiving the most popular votes nationwide. This occurs when a candidate wins a couple of states by a small margin while losing the rest of the country by a large margin. For example, in 2016, President Trump won Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania by a total of 78,000 votes, thereby winning a majority in the Electoral College while losing the country by 2.8 million votes. Each of these 78,000 voters was 36 times more important than the 2.8 million voters elsewhere. Similarly, 537 voters in Florida in 2000 were 1,000 times more important than 537,000 voters elsewhere in the country. Near misses are common under the current system. A shift of 60,000 votes in Ohio in 2004 would have elected the second-place candidate despite President George W. Bush's nationwide lead of 3 million votes. Because a few thousand votes in any one of a dozen closely divided battleground states can decide the presidency, the winner-take-all system repeatedly creates unnecessary controversies and crises, even when the choice of the nation's 140 million voters is clear. Moreover, the outsized national impact of a few thousand votes in battleground states virtually invites foreign interference in our elections. In a nationwide vote for president, every vote will be equal throughout the country. State winner-take-all laws have other adverse effects.
Neither candidate has any reason to campaign in any state where he is safely ahead or hopelessly behind.
For example, the only states that received any general election campaign events in 2012 were the 12 states where Romney's support was in the narrow range between 45% and 51%. 38 states were ignored, including 12 of the 13 smallest states and almost all rural, agricultural, southern, western, and northeastern states.
23 reliably Republican states were totally ignored by both parties, as were 15 Democratic states in the District of Columbia.
In 2016, virtually all general election campaign events were in 12 closely divided states where Trump support was between 43% and 51%. Similarly, in 2008, virtually all campaigning was in 14 closely divided states. But there's more at stake than whether babies don't get kissed in the states that get ignored.
In his book, Presidential Pork, Dr. John Hudak of the Brookings Institution documents how battleground states receive 7% more presidentially controlled grants, twice as many disaster declarations, and considerably more Superfund and No Child Left Behind exemptions The Small Business Administration's largest loan in history was to a ricotta cheese factory, described by President Obama as, quote, the tastiest investment the government has ever made, unquote, located in, you guessed it, Ohio. Meanwhile, Professors Douglas Kreiner and Andrew Reeves show how the interests of battleground states shape innumerable government policies, including steel quotas imposed by the free trade president from the Free Trade Party. Even travel by sitting presidents and cabinet members is skewed to battleground states. Indeed, flyover states are so irrelevant that presidential candidates don't even bother polling them to see what issues might be of concern to their voters. As a former White House press secretary said, quote, if people don't like it, they can move from a safe state to a swing state. Fortunately, thanks to the National Popular Vote Bill, people don't have to move to another state in order to make their vote count. The cause of all these problems, namely the state-by-state, winner-take-all method of choosing presidential electors, is not in the Constitution. It was not debated at the Constitutional Convention and was never mentioned in the Federalist Papers. Only 3 states used winner-take-all in our nation's first presidential election in 1789, and all 3 repealed it by 1800. It was not till 1880 that winner-take-all was adopted by all the states. These state winner-take-all laws can be repealed in the same way that they were originally enacted, namely by passing a different state law. In the leading case governing the selection of presidential electors, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the choice of method belongs exclusively to the states.
As of 2020, 15 states and the District of Columbia have enacted the National Popular Vote Bill into law, including 4 small states, 8 medium-sized states, and 3 big states. Moreover, 1 legislative chamber has approved the bill in 9 other states, including a bipartisan 28-18 vote in the Republican-controlled Oklahoma Senate and a bipartisan 37-21 vote in the Republican-controlled Arizona House.
The National Popular Vote Law will take effect when identical laws are enacted by states possessing a majority of the Electoral College, that is 270 out of 538. After taking effect, every vote will be equal throughout the United States, thus making every voter in every state politically relevant in every presidential election. All of the presidential electors from the enacting states will be supporters of the candidate receiving the most popular votes in all 50 states and D.C., thereby guaranteeing the presidency to the candidate receiving the most popular votes nationwide.
In a nationwide election in which every vote is equal, candidates will have to pay attention to the concerns of voters in all 50 states.
The National Popular Vote Compact is a constitutionally conservative, state-based approach. It does not alter the Constitution and does not violate the Constitution. It retains the Electoral College and state control of elections. Additional videos discuss various specific aspects of the National Popular Vote Compact. Learn more at nationalpopularvote.com and from the book EveryVoteEqual, a state-based plan for electing the president by national popular vote, which can be read or downloaded for free or purchased from Amazon.
Please use our convenient email system to ask your state legislators to support the National Popular Vote Bill.
All right, that is it.
You can go to the website and review the film individually. Now, Ed, how do you want to take questions?
Well, I have more to go. That was just
okay.
There's a video. I just wanted to show this book. It looks like it's backwards, but anyway, it's like 1,000 pages. You can buy this book or get it free online if you want to really learn a lot. I read a lot of it, and then
hold it up again, Ed. It's not backwards to us. It's just backwards to you.
Oh, it's not backwards to you?
Correct.
Good.
And up so we can see the author.
The author, I don't know. It doesn't really say, I don't think.
Okay, all right.
It's like 1,000 offers. It's got a lot of information.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'll go back to my PowerPoint. I have a few more things here. But then I have to open it first, don't I? And then I have to share screen.
You did it.
I know, it's a little, I don't know if I'll ever get good at this, but anyway. So it's pretty simple, but it's kind of, if you haven't heard it before, it sounds complicated, but the states agree to assign their electoral votes to whomever wins the national popular vote. I mean, how simple can it get? And that would be beautiful. And it's in effect in any year in which the states have a cumulative of 270 electoral college votes. So, I mean, even though there's a bunch of states that voted this in now, it's not in effect because there's not enough electoral votes to get up to 270. And Ohio had a bill last year, HB 70, which would adopt the national popular vote for Ohio. But as you probably know, the bills all have to be reintroduced. I don't think it's been reintroduced again this year, but I suspect it will be. And states that have enacted it are listed right here. I'll give you a minute to read them. And then the national popular vote is focusing on these states, which because it's passed at least one chamber. And Ohio did have a committee hearing. So that was it. So anybody wants to ask questions or share, I would say just unmute yourself and jump in. That's probably easiest. We'll try that.
Ed, do you know who
Just
introduced
recently-
it in Ohio?
Say again?
Do you know who introduced it in Ohio last biennium?
Yeah, the co-sponsors were Boyd, Smith, Ingram, Skindle, Lightbody, and Boggs.
Well, those are mostly Democrats. I recognized a few names.
Yeah, that's true. Although a couple of Republican states did enact it.
It was not clear to me how, since you ended up giving the votes to committee members to make up the 270 votes, why you have to go to that extreme? Why not you just use the raw vote counts for the various states?
Well, that would be changing the Constitution, which is
Oh.
problematic.
Okay. So you're trying to fit the format that the Constitution specifies, but doing it a different way.
Yeah, we're not changing the Constitution, but and each state can determine how they want to assign the vote. So it's just using that option for the states to say how they want to do it.